Please welcome Tommy Gallagher.
All right, ready for next?
Wisconsin. Ooh, sorry. My name is Tommy Gallagher, and I'm a field organizer here in Superior. We are so excited to have our future Vice President, Governor Tim Walz, Governor Tim Walz is a lifelong Midwesterner who understands middle-class values and has a proven track record of delivering for working families. He signed the largest tax cut in Minnesota history, passed the largest infrastructure bill in state history with bipartisan support, and capped the cost of insulin at $35 per month for many Minnesotans. Alongside Vice President Harris, he will fight for a future that strengthens our democracy, protects reproductive freedom, and ensures every person has the opportunity to not just get by, but get ahead. There is no question that Wisconsinites are fired up to elect Vice President Kamala Harris and Governor Tim Walz. Especially after that incredible debate last week. How amazing was it to see Vice President Harris take on Donald Trump? I know all of us here are fired up, but it's going to take a lot of work to get over that finish line and elect Vice President Kamala Harris, Governor Tim Walz, and Democrats up and down the ticket. You may know that in the last election, Wisconsin came down to just 20,000 votes. If we're going to win this, we need to put in the work to win over those folks again. That's why I'll be knocking on doors, making phone calls, and talking to my neighbors every day between now and Election Day to make sure every single Wisconsinite knows what's at stake this election. Having these conversations is the way we will reach voters we need to get out and win this November. If you're as fired up and ready to defeat Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, join the thousands of new volunteers who have signed up with Team Harris-Walz and Wisconsin Democrats. Thank you.
Please welcome Mayor Jim Payne.
All right, and final.
Please welcome
If you go to the Wisconsin Capitol, at the top of the Capitol building, on the very top of the dome, there's a statue that we call Wisconsin. But it symbolizes progress, because Wisconsin is the birthplace of progressivism. And appropriately, that statue is a woman. Wisconsin used the ideology of progressivism to be the very first state to ratify the 19th Amendment, giving women the right to vote. And in November, they are going to use it to make Kamala Harris the first woman president of the United States of America. So first, Superior, Wisconsin, you know I love you. You know I'm thrilled to be with you here today. But I want to welcome our neighbors from Minnesota. And I want to welcome my favorite Minnesotan neighbor, Governor Tim Walz. Now, I first met Tim Walz about 2 years ago, and just talking to that man and learning how much he cared about the people of Minnesota, every person he met, really, I wanted to vote for him. But because I will never leave Wisconsin, I thought I probably wouldn't have the chance. So I am thrilled to be able to cast my first vote to make him the next Vice President of the United States. Because here's the thing. Over here in Wisconsin, we've been watching the work that Tim Walz and the Minnesota DFL have been doing, and we've been pretty impressed. But the political right in the United States, as soon as Vice President Harris chose him for the ticket, they started calling him a radical. But that's because he does radical, dangerous things like feeding hungry children. Okay, this is actually kind of a long list. You're going to have to let me get through it. He's taking care of sick people. He's supporting new mothers, creating jobs, building infrastructure, and protecting the most beautiful and pristine wilderness and water in the world. Obviously, in Wisconsin, we don't think that's radical. We think that's just doing the job. And with Tim Walz, you get a man committed to just doing the work, but he'll also demonstrate respect and dignity while he's doing it. Because Superior, the way we conduct ourselves matters. And that's why I'm so proud that when Tim Walz goes to Washington, he's going to be taking Gwen, Hope, and Gus with him. But we're not sending them there alone. There's a lot of work to do, and we need to give them strong allies. We need to send Tammy Baldwin to the Senate to get their back. We need to send Kyle Kilborn to Congress and Angela Stroud to the Assembly. We need strong Democrats to fight for progressivism in the United States. But we aren't all going to Washington. Some of us have to stay back here and lead. And personally, I'm glad that as a Wisconsinite, I get to be a part of making the first Native woman governor in the history of the United States in Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan. I'm glad you're pumped. I'm glad you're excited because this is going to be a tough election. This is going to be a close election, and I know you are all worried about the possibility of another Trump presidency. But folks, that's not what this campaign is about. The Trump years are over. That's the past. We're done with it. We're done with it, and we're not going back. Thank you so much. I wrote that part in the speech. You didn't let me down. Every election, every single election, I've been a part of a lot now, we're asked, how would you feel if on November 6th, the day after Election Day, if we woke up and we had fallen short? Well, here in Wisconsin, we know what that feels like. We've had tough elections. We've had tough years. We've had tough cycles. So look, we know what we're going to do. We're going to get back up. We're going to get back in the fight. We're going to get back to work. Don't worry about that. We don't quit in the Badger State. We keep working. But again, that's not what this election is about. It's not about doubt. It's not about fear or anxiety. This election is about hope, and joy. So we need to ask ourselves a much more challenging question. What if we win? As you leave the rally today, as you get back to work today and finish out this weekend and the next few weeks, I want to ask yourself how you want to feel in 5 years, in 10 years, or a lifetime from now, when you could look back and say, we built a better country, we passed on a better world, to say we housed millions of people, we made healthcare more affordable, educated entire generations, that we made the world safe and peaceful and just for future generations. You can say, we did that. The world is better because of the work we did for 50 days in the fall of 2024. Those are the stakes of this election. That's the responsibility of citizenship. That's the responsibility of leadership. So to quote Tim Walz, we can do this. We can sleep when we're dead. That statue on top of the Capitol building points east. It's pointing to Washington. It's saying that Wisconsin will always lead this country forward. And this November, this state is going to lead this country on a new way forward. It starts today. Today is when we begin changing the course of American history, the course of the world history. Today is when we get to work helping to elect Kamala Harris president and Tim Walz vice president of the United States. Thank you.
Please welcome Secretary of State Sarah Godlewski.
Basically the lake from Minnesota. Hello to our Minnesota neighbors! Are you guys ready to welcome the next Vice President of the United States, Coach Walz? You know, Kamala made the perfect pick with Tim. Not just because he understands our love for a Good Friday fish fry, but because he embodies our shared belief that sometimes you need a hand and sometimes you lend a hand. And I will tell you, Kamala demonstrated that shared belief just a few days ago with the debate. Did anybody here watch that debate? Can't make this stuff up. How Donald Trump used his 90 minutes to tell the American people that he first perpetuated a vicious, racist conspiracy theory about immigrants eating pets. But it doesn't end there. I mean, this guy then raved about how he is beloved by an authoritarian leader. And he then started arguing about his crowd size. And then when he was explicitly asked for his plans about this country, the guy said, you know, I've got concepts. What the hell? For Donald, maybe instead of peddling Trump trading cards or trying to sell $400 Trump sneakers, maybe you should have taken some time to come up with a plan or two? Because, you know, I've got news for Donald Trump. We're just not going back. this country. This vision about opportunity for all of us, for actually strengthening our economy. And she shared her plans like affordable home ownership by providing assistance for down payment. Or helping working families by reinstating the child tax credit. Or helping our small business owners by expanding access to capital. See, with Kamala, it's not about her, it's about all of us. And look, we know the stakes in this election can't be any higher because the Republican ticket consists of a fraudster and a felony, and a phony. You know, their presidential nominee he's been convicted of falsifying business documents and sexual abuse. And then their vice presidential nominee says he stands for freedom and liberty, but yet he's against your freedom to marry who you love and the freedom to make your own health care decisions. But luckily for us, we've got Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, who couldn't be more different. As a prosecutor and as the former Attorney General of California, Kamala took down sexual predators and perpetrators of domestic violence. And as the governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz was a fighter for LGBTQ rights and made reproductive freedom the law of the land in Minnesota. This dynamic duo, a former prosecutor and a former high school teacher, they don't back down to bullies, they take them down. And you know what else Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are not going to back down on? Our reproductive freedom. They understand that it's our bodies, it's our choice. And we will not forget that Donald Trump is responsible for the most egregious attacks on our rights. You know, Donald Trump is the guy that proudly killed Roe by appointing 3 Supreme Court justices. He's the guy that said there needs to be some form of punishment for women who have an abortion. His vice presidential nominee says that there should be no exceptions with abortion, not even for rape or for incest. So let me be clear. Donald Trump and J.D. Vance are not going to safeguard our fundamental rights to birth control or IVF. So it is up to us to send an undeniable message this November. You messed with our reproductive rights your first term, so we're going to make it your only term. So, Wisconsin, our rights, our democracy, our future are all on the line this November. So are you ready to make sure Tim Walz goes from Midwest nice to Midwest vice? All right, Wisconsin, let's do this.
Please welcome the next Vice President and Second Lady of the United States, Tim and Gwen Walz, accompanied by Isabella Listy.
Mayor Payne. Oh, great to be with you. Right over there. Secretary Godlinski. Did I say that right? Thank you. And most of all, over 1,200 of our neighbors and friends. And what a joy it is to return to the shores of Lake Superior. Share a lot here, Minnesota and Wisconsin, right? One of the things is that beautiful lake shore. And that reminds me of how much we have in common and other things that we share. More so than just cold winters, right? Yeah. They're brutal, some would say. We share the same values. Okay? You to know if you needed me to, I would come and shovel your driveway. And I bet you'd come and shovel mine. Or we'd give each other's kids rides to hockey practice or band practice or whatever we needed, right? Yes. Because here's what we do. We look out for each other. Of our lives together. And that's how Vice President Harris and my husband Tim were raised. They both, thank you, they both come from middle-class communities. Kamala was raised by a working mom in Oakland, California. And Tim grew up in a small town of 400 in rural Nebraska. Yeah. And both Kamala and Tim learned the value of hard work and common good, just like all of you. And you know what? That's how I was raised too. The community I was raised in was twice the size of Tim's.
The city.
And you know what? My sisters and I were raised in this small little town in western Minnesota by 2 school teachers. And guess what? My sisters are here with me today. And guess what? They're teachers. And guess what again? My sister-in-law is from Wisconsin. And guess what? She's here today.
And a teacher.
And guess what? She's a teacher. You are good at that game. Our parents taught us the value of a hard day's work, how to balance a budget, and most of all, how to lend a helping hand to our neighbors in need and accept help from our neighbors when we needed it too. All the things that someone like Donald Trump, who grew up
up with a silver spoon in his mouth could just never understand. So I'm excited today because you're going to get to hear from Tim. But first, I'm going to just tell you a few things about us and about why we're here. So I'd like to just tell you how we met. Is that all right? Okay. We were both teaching in the same school district in Nebraska. And he was teaching, very good, history, social studies, geography. And do you know what I was teaching? English. Oh, you might not need this lesson. But we even shared a classroom. And that classroom was an old choir room because our school was pretty short on resources and space. And so they put a divider right down the middle of that old choir room. And Tim was on one side and I was on the other side. And I have to tell you that his class was a little louder than mine. But every day I knew that there was excitement and enthusiasm in that classroom. And what Tim and I understood about each other, and the first thing that I think we loved about each other, was that we both shared the value of education, yes, and we both understood that every single student mattered. I watched him coaching and encouraging his students, and he tried to help them all succeed. You see, Tim can't help but see the potential in everyone, and I think that's remarkable. And he wants everyone to have a chance to reach it. And that is a commitment that I know he and Vice President Harris share. They believe in everyone, the potential and the opportunity for everyone. That's big. That's big. So I'm excited to see the future that they want to build, where everyone is included and where everyone who works hard has a chance to succeed. Now, I'm an English teacher, and I know that words matter. So when we say everyone, we mean everyone. We do not mean some people, or we would say some people, but we mean everyone. Yes, and also, we don't mean only those who vote for us.
That's right. That's right.
That's right. What we mean is all of us.
Yay.
Yes. That's important, and that's hard, but it's important. Now, we have a chance in this election to elect a president and a vice president for all Americans, for everyone. Yes, and we reject that group who is only in it for themselves.
That's right.
That's not us. That's an important view that people who know the value of neighbors, like we already said we did, that's an important view we have to share. Now, you probably saw that debate the other night. Yeah, that was great. And what Kamala Harris told us we had to do was we had to turn the page, right? Yeah, because we have something really exciting headed in our direction. But I kind of liked it when she did this. Turn the page. You like that? Okay, so I need you to be with me and practice with me. What are we gonna do? We're gonna turn the page. Oh, pretty good, do it again. We're gonna turn the page, and we're gonna turn the page. All right, so I'm gonna be watching you, because when I see Wisconsin, and I'm watching nationally on TV, because this is a pretty important place, and Minnesota will help you practice with this. You just show me this, turn the page, right? Turn the page. And you know what else that looks like? Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Donald Trump. We are turning the page. 52 days and we are turning the page. 52 days and it is bye-bye, Donald Trump. That's right. Now, my mom always said this to me growing up. Gwen, you have to do the work that's in front of you. And when I was growing up, I thought that meant the dishes or my schoolwork. But what that actually meant is what I've actually come to realize, which is empowering, that all of us, with our own eyes, must see the work that is in front of us. And we must define that for ourselves and our community and our state and our country and our region. And that's empowering and that's important, because we have to bring everything we have to that, especially for the next 52 days. We have to bring our time and our talents and our gift and our vision. And we have to decide how we can best be of service. So I am asking you, even though my mom's not here, she's a retired teacher, as I've already told you, I am asking you if you will, with Tim and Kamala and Doug, me, our children, your friends, and your neighbors, will you do the work that is in front of us? Yeah. Yes? Yes, thank you. We are going to volunteer, right? And we are going to bring friends to volunteer. Yes, we are. And we are going to door knock. And we are going to have really hard conversations with undecided neighbors. And we are still going to have those conversations with people who might have unfortunate signs in their yard. Yes, we are. Because that's what we have to do. Because we have turned the page. Yes, we have. And we are choosing a new way forward. So Wisconsin, you have to be ready, because we're asking a lot, and I am going to give you every minute I possibly can over the next 52 days. I'm asking for the same thing from you, because here's what our soon-to-be President of the United States, Kamala Harris, says. When we fight, we win. When we fight, we win. When we fight, we win. We're ready to fight, I think. Yeah? Yeah. Now it's my privilege to introduce you to someone very special. Her name is Isabel Listy, and she is a shining example of what leadership looks like in our communities. At just 20 years old, she found a way to make a difference, whether championing women and LGBTQ+ communities, or helping her town rebuild after a storm, or working to bring free school meals to Wisconsin. She is always using her voice to lift up others. And you know what? She's going to be a teacher. I can't wait, because she is going to be fantastic. Will you help me welcome Isabella Listy?
Yeah. Wonderful.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Mrs. Walz. And what an honor to be introduced by a champion for public schools, something that's very near and dear to my heart, and our next second lady.
Yeah.
Hello, Superior. I'm a student right here at UW Superior. I am so proud to be here today to introduce Governor Tim Walz. I grew up about 100 miles south of here in a town called Barron, Wisconsin. In Barron, we understand the importance of community and working together to help our neighbors. In 2018, when a storm devastated my town, I helped raise over $10,000 to restore our local park. We added a shelter, got a brand new bench, and planted trees to give our community a new place to come together. Governor Walz understands those Midwestern values too, because, like me and so many other people in this room, he grew up in a small town working on his family's farm. When he was 17 years old, he enlisted in the Army National Guard, serving 24 years. Yeah. He went to college on the GI Bill, and Governor Walz has been a high school teacher, a football coach, a congressman, and a governor, and through it all, he has put his community first. As governor, he helped middle-class families by lowering health care costs, cracking down on junk fees, and signing the largest tax cut in state history. Yeah. When Governor Walz signed a bill giving universal free breakfast and lunch to students in Minnesota, it motivated me to advocate and follow suit. I know that alongside Vice President Harris, Governor Walz will be a strong partner as they deliver for working families and help move our country forward. Yeah. They will fight to lower costs and protect our fundamental freedoms, including my right to choose whether and when to start a family. Yeah. Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, on the other hand, will always side with their billionaire donors and big corporations. Their Project 2025 agenda will bring our country backwards. When I graduate, I hope to follow in Governor Walz's footsteps and become a teacher right here in Wisconsin. Yeah. But Donald Trump and J.D. Vance's Project 2025 would put that dream at risk by eliminating the Department of Education. And Trump's Project 2025 would ban abortion nationwide and punish women who need life-saving reproductive health care. This year will be my first time voting in a presidential election, and I could not be more excited to cast my vote for Vice President Harris and Governor Tim Walz. And now, it is my honor to introduce our next Vice President of the United States, Governor Tim Walz.
Wow. Well, hello, neighbors. Few places better on an early fall day than to be in northern Wisconsin and Minnesota with such great folks. So thank you. To Isabella, thank you. Look, I think all of us know we win this election, we elect Kamala Harris, Madam President, here in 52 days. But with people like Isabella, our future is bright. Thank you for the work that you're doing. Mayor Payne, it's always good to be back. Thank you to all of our local elected officials who are here. I'd also like to say, we've got a lot of work to do in 52 days, but we're pretty lucky. We've got some incredible folks to elect up here in this part of the country. Two of them we're blessed with, two of the best United States senators you could find with Tammy Baldwin and Amy Klobuchar. Let's send them both back. Incredible. And there's a lot of races, but one I'm pretty familiar with, a congressional race over in Minnesota. I have the privilege of being friends with one of the most effective legislators I've ever worked with. Jen Schultz is running over there. So, just so you know. There she is. And look, this is one of those deals where you get an incredibly accomplished public servant who's in it for the right reasons, and we make sure we give Kamala Harris a majority in the House of Representatives. And I'll just give you 2 reasons why the current occupant shouldn't be there. Denying the election of 2020 should disqualify you from service in there. And when those 4,000 jobs in replacing the Blotnick Bridge, don't come crawling over here when you voted against it and tell us you had something to do with it. He had nothing to do with it. Go get Jen elected and so many others. Thank you. Look, every time this happens, when Gwen Walz speaks, people always say, well, why isn't she running? So she's got lots of things that are happening. I did notice this, so when she was practicing her speech, she said, my husband, Tim. I thought it said your wonderful husband, Tim, in those things. So, she's an English teacher. Words matter. That's it. And she also mentioned 3 of my sister-in-laws are here today, too, with me. I'm super excited. Are you seeing a pattern here? 2 incredible senators who happen to be women. Jen Schultz, who's going to make a wonderful member of Congress. Gwen Walz, these 3. Here's my life hack for all of you. All the guys out there, whatever, here's my life hack. Surround yourself with smart women and listen to them, and you'll do just fine. You'll do just fine. That includes my fellow cat owner, Taylor Swift, too, by the way. It's really great to have all of these women help us beat the smallest man in the world, Donald Trump. To each and every one of you, look, it is true. There's anywhere else you could be. You got busy lives. You got things going on. These days are precious. This is a Saturday in northern Wisconsin. It's nice outside. These are rare, and you precious them. But it speaks volumes about you. The Vice President often says this, and I don't think for a minute as you've gathered with your neighbors. I look out here, I see old friends, new friends. Same thing probably with you. But it is something really special as free people to gather in a space with our community to self-determine how we want our country to be. You chose to be here, and the incredible people on the Wisconsin Coordinated Campaign, all the local folks who do this, you did that. You came here for this moment because of what Kamala Harris always says, a beautiful, simple reason. You love this country, so thank you. Thank you, thank you. Now, and what is so beautiful about the democracy is we get to make a choice. And like 61 million other people in most of the rest of the world, we got to see Tuesday night. That's a pretty simple choice. It should be. There was one person on that stage that has the poise, the dignity, the foresight, and the compassion to be President of the United States, and that's Kamala Harris. She commanded that room. She's tough, she's tested, she's ready, and I can tell you, I am so incredibly proud of her, but I tell people this. Someone came up to me and said, hey, the Vice President did an incredible job. I'm so surprised. Why were you surprised? You need to ask yourself why you were surprised. A prosecutor, county attorney, Attorney General of California, prosecuting transnational gangs and other criminals, United States Senator and Vice President of the United States. I would do a self-evaluation of why you're surprised. There might be a couple of reasons for that. None of it had to do with competency and being ready to lead. And it started, she had the upper hand in that thing, no pun intended, from the handshake. From the handshake. You saw it in there. You can't bring yourself to look at the Vice President of the United States. You can't bring yourself to shake hands in the middle. This is how we do things in this country. The democracy matters. And when you lose, you do the exact opposite of what he did. You shake the hand of the person who beat you and you help them become successful. I say that because in 52 days, he's going to have to do exactly that. Exactly that. Now, maybe unlike the other side, I talked to Vice President Harris. You know, we like are communicating. But we didn't talk about this. I got asked right after the debate, do you think you should do another one? I said, well, I haven't talked to her, but if my advice is, yes, every day we should do another one, every single day. Because what you saw is what we all knew. Donald Trump is exactly what we knew him to be. We knew exactly what his true colors were on full display. His true colors were on full display. Not his makeup, but his character. His character. And I said this, you saw that caricature of an old man shaking his hand at clouds and telling kids to get off his yard. That's what he did. Obsessed with the past, and this is what's unforgivable. Rooting against the American people. Rooting against this country. Everywhere he goes, terrible city, terrible place, terrible state, all these things. I wouldn't go. Always, as the governor of Pennsylvania says, and plug your children's ears on this, this is the governor of Pennsylvania, everywhere he goes, he's shit-talking America. Everywhere he goes. Because he doesn't believe in us. He had the simplest opportunity the other night to answer a couple simple questions. First one being, he refused to say he wanted the free and brave people of the democracy of Ukraine to win the war. And here's what I'm going to say to Wisconsin. Thank you for the deep dignity that I know exists here. Yesterday, I was in Wausau with a group of folks down there. And it's nice. It's your state. Go there. Visit it. No, we're there. And I got a chance to meet a couple of people. Anastasia and Anton and their young son. They were forced to flee Ukraine during the war, and they were taken in by the people of Wisconsin. And you know what the first thing they did was? They started a small business, a bakery that's creating jobs and growing the economy right there in Wausau. And when I told them that Vice President Harris had no problem answering that, and I have no problem answering that, and people who love this democracy and understand we stand with our friends, it's a very simple question. Ukraine must win that war and push the aggressors back. He also had another easy one. He refused to answer if he would veto a national abortion ban. Wouldn't answer it. Well, you know why. You know why. All of a sudden now he says he's all for the support or whatever. Here's the deal. He doesn't trust women, and they sure the hell don't trust him. And for all of you, I would have never imagined in 2024 we're here, but it's a privilege because all of you are here to fight this fight. This is the most fundamental thing since the founding of this country. For all the blood that's been shed over the years to protect the democracy. One of the most fundamental things, and as I said, it is a disqualifying factor on his part. He refused to say he lost a fair and square election. Refused to say it. Look, Don't allow us to become the frog in the slowly boiling water, to pretend like that's any way normal or okay. Say it every single day. He lost the election, he's trying to lie about it, and he will do so again. But he says all of you are just AI, so he's not too worried about it. Your votes won't be AI, I'll guarantee you that. But with all the bluster, all the misinformation, all the inability to stand on the core values that makes America the great country it is, he also had nothing to say what he would do to make your lives better. Nothing. Healthcare plan. Remember? Came down those golden escalator 9 years ago. Got asked about Obamacare. I'll rip it out. I'll have a better plan on day one. It was 9 years ago. What we saw Tuesday night is, look, he apparently has been doing something. He has the concepts of a plan. And as I said this, if I got that excuse from one of my students, I would have laughed them out of the room for that. No, try better. Try better. Look, for him, it's a soundbite. It's nothing. For you, it's the pre-existing condition you had and your insurance company wouldn't pay the bill, means now you can go get treated. You can take your children in. You can't be discriminated against. We can get checkups on time and prevent illnesses down the road. The ACA has provided millions of people a healthier, better, freer life for them and their children. For him, it's a talking point. Let's just be honest. He doesn't know what's in the ACA. He's never read it. He never looked at it. He doesn't know. Not once did he ever worry that he would have to pay a medical bill. They're out of touch with who we are. Kamala Harris, who grew up in that middle-class family around a kitchen table where you have to decide how you're going to pay the bills with her single mom, she understands that. Donald Trump has no plan for you. His plan is for what's good for Donald Trump, period. Look, this is important. This is important, and you all know it. Because, look, we all deal with it. Friends, neighbors, family. Oh, I like Donald Trump. I don't really like how he swears and gets convicted of felonies and found liable for assaulting women. I don't really like that. Good, I'm glad you don't like that. But then they always go, I like his proposals. Which one? Taking your health care? Forcing women to bleed out in parking lots because they can't get health care? Tax cuts for billionaires? And I say this, if you're a billionaire and that's all you care about, he may be your guy. But if you're a working class person, a middle class person, a community member, I can't find much there. And the thing is, you don't have to look very far. He's not giving you much detail, except it's really great. They made it easy for us. They printed 900 plus pages in Project 2025. Are you watching this? They're all mad as hell at the guys who wrote this now because it got out there. This was the thing, you said the quiet stuff out loud before we got elected. Yes, they did. No one wants that agenda. No one who's not a billionaire wants that agenda. No one wants government in your bedrooms and your exam rooms. No one wants to make drugs more expensive. No one wants to avoid dealing with climate change or making prices more affordable for folks in the middle that we're trying to do. They have no idea about any of those things. So look, these guys on the other side, you know what they stand for. Here's what I'm most proud of. I'm proud with our side of things. While Donald Trump spent his time whining, crying, grievance-filled, oh, they did me wrong, they did me wrong. It's difficult to be born with millions of dollars. It's difficult to not pay your bills. It's difficult to have the Supreme Court say you can do whatever the hell you want with no consequence. Apparently that's difficult for him. Kamala Harris spent no time doing that. She talked about you, and she talked about the future. She talked about the future. And again, I don't know if my English teacher wife would enjoy that I'm going there. Another pun. She prosecuted the case really well on Tuesday. So, but you know what you also saw? you saw this and you're here, and I see it looking out at each one of you. This is hard, important work. This is difficult work. This will shape generations to come. But hard work can be good work, and hard work can be joyful work. And that's what she did. She brought joy back to the idea of politics, an idea that it can be better, bigger than just one of us. In her entire professional career, she's had one client: the people. The people. And she says this. In her entire career, prosecutor, attorney general, senator, vice president, she never asked Democrat or Republican. She asked, are you okay? And what can we do to make things better? So look, we were in Pennsylvania on this bus route. This was really great. We're old school. We're getting on these buses and we're going into red areas and we're talking to anybody who's out there. Because look, let's just be honest, and she knows this better than anybody. We were looking out at a crowd of supporters, and there was a whole bunch of our supporters with signs just like you, and we're all excited, and really great T-shirts, by the way, up front here. And then on the other side of the street were folks who weren't our supporters. It's easy to tell. They're all in the same hat. As I always say, a group of independent thinkers on one side of the street, over there, ready to go. But she turned to me, and it was just Gwen and I and Doug and Kamala Harris. And she turned around to me and she said, Tim, never forget, we fight just as hard for folks on this side of the street as folks on this side of the street. That's what this is about. This is why talking to your neighbors, as Gwen said, this is why the work of the next 52 days. People are undecided. Look, I think it's pretty obvious. Most people don't like him. It's not, if this were about having the best ideas or the best candidates, I think we would win most of the elections, because that's the way it usually works out. But that's not what happens. This is about hard work. It's about going out and talking to people. It's about telling them what it matters. And the things we're talking about in this room will help folks who are buying those flags, wearing that red hat, and believing that Donald Trump's with them. What you know is health care for their family, good public schools, infrastructure investments, the right to control your own body. All of those things, if you ask them and talk to them as neighbors, they're going to say, yeah, I'm for that. Then you need to remind them, he's against all of that. He's against all of that. So look, as that prosecutor, she had to take on predators, fraudsters, people trying to cheat you, career criminals, big corporate interests who think they're above the law. Now, it was easier the other night because all of those things were wrapped into one person. So you could take it on. But the fight was there. The idea that we lay out a plan, an opportunity economy plan, one that knows, because she grew up in the middle class, she knows that it's not enough to get by. We've all been there. It's not enough to get by. People want to get ahead and thrive. And in this country, the richest country in the world, there is no reason that the gap between the CEOs and the folks who are doing the work, the labor that's doing the work, the most basic democracy is the ability to collectively bargain to get something. Look, they're doing just fine. But you don't need $400 million when people are just trying to get by. We finally started to see, because of the work of Kamala Harris and our labor friends, brothers and sisters, we're seeing wages finally start to keep pace, starting to go up. So I said this. She wants to make homes more affordable. Because you know why? She watched her mom scrimp and save for years to buy that house. I watched my mom worry after my dad died and the medical bills there, will I be able to keep my house? For those guys, a Wall Street guy, a six-time bankruptcy guy, a venture capitalist guy, those are just commodities to move around and sell and trade. And if it means foreclosing on somebody, do that. If it makes you money, who cares? But those are our neighbors. Kamala Harris understands that home is the foundation to families and community. That's why she wants to make it easier through down payments, helping builders create 3 million more new homes, and working with local folks to make it easier to get those homes built and permitted. That's what it looks like. And when she talked about prices and price gouging, it was fascinating to me to watch how fast Donald Trump and his running mate jumped on to defend price gougers. Look, 37 states already have laws against that. But the thing that really gets me is we're trying and figuring out how to keep prices lower. Our farmers are working dawn till dusk, and they're getting $3.90 a bushel for corn and $10 for soybeans. They're not getting rich. They didn't grow the food. They didn't process it at the factory where labor did that. Somebody's pulling off a chunk of money out there that has nothing to do with getting that to you. That's what she's talking about. If you're jacking up the price illegally, you should stop that. And one of the American dreams is to choose your path. And none of those paths should be closed out. The idea, if you've got an idea for a small business, it should be easier to start that small business. That's why she proposed increasing the tax credit so you can get up and off the ground. Making sure then that you've got health care so that that doesn't drive you out of a small business. And then making sure your neighbors are being paid enough that they can actually spend money at your small business and everybody thrive. Look, I know you've got it here. This is the part, this ability to be able to collectively bargain and organize. Let's not forget our history, America. The labor movement starts in Wisconsin. It's Wisconsin that does it. So, the idea of investing back to the middle class, the idea of growing from the inside out, the idea that everybody can have a place in this. We have a Minnesota saying from one of our senators who we lost way too soon, who says we all do better when we all do better. It's not that complicated. It's not that complicated. But these guys figure out a way. We want more and more and more and more. More taxes. I will say this about Donald Trump. He was very clear on one thing, and he followed through with this. He told the billionaires he was going to give them a tax cut, and he did it. Project 2025 promises you again. He will do it again and bigger. So let's be very clear. When he does that, it cuts out opportunities for all the rest of us. When they do that, it undermines our ability to do the things we know need to be done. So just to be clear, and something you know about right here in Superior and Duluth, that Donald Trump talked a tough game about infrastructure. Kamala Harris got it done. By the way, that Blotnick Bridge is built by all of us. That's the guy who's trying to figure out how to not pay his damn taxes so that he doesn't have to fix it. All of us understand that that bridge creates economic opportunity, connecting us together, both physically and as a people. It makes good sense. And I'll tell you, you saw it. You saw this idea about freedom. And you've seen... it's really great. It's not just a song that the vice president comes out to, although that's really cool when she does that. But you saw it in Chicago, and you hear us talking about this idea of freedom, the idea of what it means. Freedom to live your life the way you choose to live your life. Some of us are old enough to remember Republicans used to talk like that too. They used to talk about freedom. They would have never turned their back on an ally. They would have never decided that they needed to be in your business. But we know now, they want the freedom to be in your doctor's office. By the way, Project 2025, some of you want to know in there, they've got a national pregnancy coordinator that tracks all pregnancies. That seemed like too crazy for George Orwell to put in his book, but they did it. They did it. Look, they want to be in your school library. I don't know about you, but you heard Isabella talk about it. In Minnesota, while those guys are figuring out how to ban books, we're banishing hunger from our schools. That's a big difference. A big difference. And again, I want to go back to those old school Republicans, the folks that need to come over and realize this is the agenda for them. One of the things they used to always talk about is personal freedoms, personal responsibilities. Well, the responsibility part is out because Donald Trump has never taken responsibility for a single thing. But the personal choices and the personal freedoms, We respect it. We respect it. We may not agree with it. We may not agree with that. Look, I get it. There's some of you choose the Packers over the Vikings. That's your choice. It's your choice. Oh, give it to me. Give me my moment. Give me my moment. We don't have any Super Bowl rings. Just give me the moment. But look, we may not agree and we may differ, but you've heard me say it, and I know it's a Wisconsin rule. I claimed it for Minnesota, but I know you've got it here too. The golden rule that makes everything work better is mind your own damn business. Mind your own damn business. Think about it. How is that not appealing to Republicans? How is that not an appealing thing? They want to be and make every damn decision. Think about what they're saying in Project 2025. You're going to have to register with a new federal agency when you get pregnant. This is personal, people. It doesn't get much personal. For Gwen and I, you've heard our story, and we've heard other people have to tell their story. Look, nobody wants to have to tell their personal stories about their families unless they're asked about it and it's in private conversation. We have to tell these stories because these guys weirdly are obsessed with our bedrooms all the time. All the time. And for us, it was a struggle, a years-long struggle with infertility. And we were blessed that we had access to those treatments. And you better bet, if you haven't had it happen to you, you know somebody who's gone through it. It's hell. You're waiting for the call. You get the call. It doesn't work. You're back at it. And then there's the two of you wondering how. All you want to do is have that child. So you better bet in our family, when we finally had that little girl born, we named her Hope for a very particular reason. And she, like all of you, and I say this, she and Gus are Gwen and I's whole world, just like your children are, just like how you choose to live your family. And we're talking about it because these guys are trying to make it more difficult to do that, or if not, impossible. Because it's very clear, they're not stopping with national abortion ban. They're not stopping with getting rid of fertility clinics. They're talking about getting rid of contraception or any type of help any of us need to manage it. These are personal health care decisions. These are personal health care decisions. So think about it. This is pretty simple, and Kamala Harris makes it pretty clear. I would go out to all of your neighbors and make the case on this. Do you want J.D. Vance deciding about your wife and daughter's health? Or would you rather just leave it to them and their doctor? That's what freedom looks like. That's what freedom looks like. So message it to your neighbors. You and people should make the decisions, not politicians, about your personal health care. It's as simple as that. So look, education for all of you. We're setting in a school here, a great school, Wisconsin and Minnesota. We're known for our schools. We're known for our education. We know that that's a ticket to the middle class, shouldn't be a ticket to debt. So be very clear about it. Investing in education, investing in our teachers, investing in the future is another one of those. When we all do better, we all do better. It's that simple. Now, we're getting closer on this 52 days, and it's a binary choice. I know, it boggles my mind too that there are two people who are going to be president. One of them is going to be president, the other is not. There are two people. One of them is going to be vice president, one of them is not. That Project 2025 and the questions and the discussion we're having here today is where that difference lies. Because that program, and I say this for my mother, who survived after my dad died on Social Security survivor benefits and who counts on that check right now, Kamala Harris has pledged, and we will pledge, to protect Social Security and Medicare with everything we have. This one is the difference. People see the world from where they stand. If you stand in a middle-class living room, if you stand in a union factory job, if you stand in scrubs as a nurse helping, that's a way to see the world. That's a way to see the world. If you stand, or more likely sit, in Mar-a-Lago, or in a venture capitalist high-rise on Wall Street, why would you care if the Social Security check shows up? You don't care about it because you don't need it. So you're looking for the tax cut. Well, I'll tell you who does need it, my mom. She pays for her heat. She pays for her food with her Social Security check, and it is the best anti-poverty program ever devised in this country, and we have to push it. All right. So here's the deal. I say this. I know very clearly, you might not have thought so, but I know it. I am preaching to the choir. You came, stood in line, came with your neighbors, ready to do something about it. As we started out with, because you love your country, because you know the choice is so stark and you know the impact we can make. You came to do it with joy and you want to get it done. But here's the deal. Kamala Harris did her job Tuesday night. We need to do our job for the next 52 days. Now, I'll go to my grave not understanding why, but I know it's a fact. This is going to be a margin of error race, and it's going to be won in a handful of states. One of them is the state of Wisconsin. So let me, as these guys help me with, put on that coach whistle and get that hat back on. This thing's going to be a battle for the next 52 days. It's going to be in rooms, one in rooms like this. It's going to be one door-to-door, call-to-call, $5 donation, trying to have that hard conversation in the produce aisle with the person you saw there at the grocery store and ask, have you voted yet? And are you concerned about Social Security? Are you concerned about climate change? Are you concerned about our democracy? Are you concerned about middle class? Are you concerned about those things? Because if you are, ask that person to sign up. Ask them to get to vote. Look, this is on. Wisconsin starts next week in voting. Next week. So for all of you, I know it's hard work. I know that, as I said, it's hard to understand that it shouldn't be broader, but that's our country's here. These guys have spent the last decade telling us our system is broken. They've spent the last decade figuring out how to make it harder for people to vote. They've spent the last decade trying to make people pessimistic to believe it doesn't matter if you come to rallies like this or if you vote or if you call your neighbor. That's what they've done. You know why? Because they can't win when more people vote. Because the people understand. So that choice of voter suppression versus voter engagement, we choose the joyful path. We choose to take our chances with explaining what we stand for, standing on our record, letting everybody vote, counting every vote fairly, and then accepting the results of that. That's what we do. So here we go, folks. Every vote's going to matter. Every precinct. One more vote in each precinct can make the difference in what happens for the next generation in this country. The difference between keeping that guy as far away from the White House as possible and putting in a president who understands and cares about you. That's what we get to do. So, I, for one, am honored to be on this ticket. I'm honored to stand with you in this fight. I'm honored to know, and I keep saying this, we have some philosophies in the Midwest. My God, we're tough people. Some people, when we started settling, people started going across the country. Some of them kept on going until they ended up a place where it's really warm and they have palm trees. Not our people. Not our people. We stopped here. We stopped here to carve it out. Because we're tough, we care, we're resilient. And we understand that when you stick together, we can get this done. So for all of you here, all gas, no break, 52 days to get the work done, sleep when you're dead. Let's give it our all and think about it. That 53rd morning when you wake up, we get to say, congratulations, Madam President. Let's go.